Hello, I'm Richard Hosnout. I'm your host for the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast and this Wisdom Inspired Life YouTube channel. Great to have you here. If you want to email me for any reason, you can email me at richardwib@gmail.com. The address is on the screen. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, and heck, we may even Zoom. This is another in my Ageless Wisdom series. The Ageless Wisdom is actually 24 volumes of the highest esoteric wisdom, more than 10,000 pages. I've read all of it at least once, and it is not easy reading. I'll warn you if you're interested. And this comes from an enlightened Tibetan master, Djwal Khul, who's part of the spiritual hierarchy for planet Earth. These are people more than advanced humans. They really graduated from the human kingdom into the next kingdom, which is interestingly called the spiritual kingdom, but we'll deal with that further down the road, as much as mind-snapping as that might be for you. And he transmitted these 24 volumes, 10,000 pages, to Alice Bailey in the United States. She lived for a while near Monterey in California. And these particular quotes I'm sharing with you come from a compendium volume put together by a devotee of the Ageless Wisdom on various topics called Ponder on This. Last I looked, it was still available on Amazon, but there weren't many left, so you can check. This is a wide range of topics where the devotee went across all the 24 volumes, found relevant quotes on various topics like today's topic, and put them all in one place under that topic. Okay? So if you want to know more, that's a good place to go. Today we're going to be talking about, most of these topics are important. The previous topic, the challenge to humanity, if you haven't listened to that, it's a must-listen episode. Go back and listen to the previous episode, please. Okay? Today we're talking about Christ. Quoting, Christ was the first our earth humanity to achieve the goal of individualization. So rapid was the development of Christ that in the Atlantean days, he found himself upon the path of probation, which is approaching initiation to achieve Christ and cosmic consciousness. Okay. From the angle of evolution, the rapid unfoldment of the evolution of Christ was and has been totally unparalleled. Okay? We all know that Jesus, the Christ, was a very special God emissary, bringing the message of God to people on earth. And God periodically sends great enlightened beings onto earth to help us along the way. Paramahansa Yogananda was one of those. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is, in my opinion, currently one of those also. Krishna was, Buddha was, and others, some of who are well known in public and others who worked primarily behind the scenes, so to speak. So Christ was a great, great spiritual being. I've talked about in the previous episode and a little bit in other episodes about something called the spiritual hierarchy. And the spiritual hierarchy is a hierarchy of enlightened, God-realized masters who run the spiritual aspect, all the spiritual aspects, and essentially, I'm going to use a term that might get me in trouble with some purists, but sort of general management group of planet Earth. We'll see how that goes down. So here's a quote on that. He, referring to Christ, Jesus, he has been for 2,000 years the supreme head of the church, invisible, the spiritual hierarchy. Djwal Khul is part of that spiritual hierarchy, okay? Composed of disciples of all faiths, with Djwal Khul, as I told you, being a great Tibetan God-realized being. He recognizes and loves those who were not Christian, but who retained their allegiance to their founders, the Buddha, Muhammad, and others. He cares not what the faith is. if the objective is love of God and humanity. That's the unifying factor. There is one God. There is one humanity. And that is the unifying factor. Okay? So there is a spiritual hierarchy. Jesus, the Christ, has been the head of that church invisible for 2,000 years. Okay? Talk a little bit about masters of wisdom, because there genuinely are masters of wisdom. The fact of his livingness, again referring to Christ, Jesus the Christ, livingness and his presence today, here and now, on earth, is not emphasized except through vague and hopeful generalities. Men have forgotten the Christ who lives with us on earth, surrounded by his disciples and the masters of wisdom, accessible to those who make the right approach, saving men by the force of his example. Okay? Jesus the Christ is always with us. The other masters of wisdom are also always with us, there to be helped. In the Christian religion, you often hear about people having a special relationship with one of the saints of the Catholic Church, for example. Great God-realized beings are available there to help us if we know the path to opening up their coming into our life and our communicating with them. It takes some very serious spiritual practice to be able to do that. Okay? Talk a little briefly here about a world religion. If you go back to the previous episode again, the challenge to humanity, it was also about this. Quoting, in the coming world religion, not maybe there'll be a world religion, there is a coming world religion. The emphasis will be on these truths. Life and not death will be proclaimed. Attainment of spiritual status through spiritual living will be taught. Complete practices and everything. Much of it's available today, for example, through the Self-Realization Fellowship. And the fact of existence of those who have thus attained and who work with Christ for the helping and salvaging of humanity will be the goal. Okay? A lot in here. Attainment of spiritual status through spiritual living will be taught. And there are many specific scientific spiritual practices that can help accelerate that progress. Okay? So, listen to this episode. Obviously you are if you're hearing this, but also go back and listen to the previous episode, and these two work very, very closely together. Lots of important information here. Again, remember, all of this is coming from Djwal Khul, who's a member of the spiritual hierarchy that runs planet Earth, and that spiritual hierarchy is headed up by Jesus the Christ. Okay? So, as always, if you want to learn more, you can go to mywisdominspiredlife.com. You know about the Wisdom Inspired Life podcast, hundreds of episodes, new ones released every Saturday and Sunday. Have listeners in more than 74 countries on the podcast. So, I think it's pretty clear I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to try and help people, including myself, to live more of a wisdom-inspired life. One of the great cliches is that the great way to learn something is to teach it. And I'm learning as I'm sharing all this with you and going deeper. It is a great assistance to me. So my goal is to help as many people as I possibly can that want to live more of a wisdom-inspired life. The Caring and Compassion series serves as the foundation for that. Living a life of caring, compassion, kindness, and love is the foundation of that. This Ageless Wisdom series is a more advanced version of wisdom. I don't know who's coming to the site, so I provide great breadth in terms of content about all this. Okay? Thank you for being part of this journey today, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you.